Hello everyone, welcome to Just Invest Today, and today we're talking about everything cannabis. Should we avoid all these cannabis stocks or should we dive head first into them? Trying to find out which company is the best, but man, this is a hard sell for me. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all the cannabis companies in the space. I feel like there's so much competition, companies are battling it out. But I want your opinion on this because we should understand and we should try to figure out if we should get into the space because we know the future is so bright for the cannabis space, especially if countries and different states start like making it legal to like ship stuff cross borders and just open it up. Man, that can have huge future potential. But anyways, guys, let's get into this article, see what people are saying about the cannabis space and if it's a good place to invest. I want your opinion on this, man. Just like this video though, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be providing so much content. So let's get into this article. Cannabis companies face major job losses and facility closures, analysts predict. And this just comes to show you that this space is so much competition, but it's so lucrative on the same side. So it's just like, what side are you on? Job losses and facility closings will persist in the Canadian cannabis industry for the next few quarters as long as companies struggle to cultivate and retain their customer base, industry analysts believe. And this is so true, man, because when I think about all the cannabis companies and there's so much growth, you see revenue booming, you see all these cannabis companies combining, making acquisitions, everything I feel like is just rolling for these companies. But we got to get down to the nitty gritty, like what's separating all these cannabis companies. And the thing is that it's either going to be, it has to be the brand. Is the brand strong enough in any one of these companies? And if you guys can tell me that, then I would be happily to know which brand they just like kind of blows out the other brands. Because we have like Trulieve, Canopy Growth, we have what else? Like Aurora, Planet 13. Then we have a lot of like those underground sellers as well. Plus you have a lot of local spots in that state or whatever, that country. So there's so many things to consider when it comes to competition. Like, is there one brand that's just separating itself? And that's what we really have to find out. That's what's going to make these companies be very successful in the future. Edmonton-based Aurora said 8% of its workforce will be affected by the upcoming closings. 300,000 square foot facility once touted as the company's center for excellence for a high margin production of cannabis derivative products such as edibles. Tilray, too, a part of the cost-cutting exercise since its merger this spring with Alpharia, announced it will shut down as an indoor growing facility. The underlying theme in the whole business has been fierce, unrelenting competition. And that's what I'm saying, man. The competition for this cannabis space, when people see blood, when people see potential in the area, everyone is just going to be rushing through the doors. This kind of reminds me of what Warren Buffett said when the car companies first started putting out cars, they start becoming a huge thing. There was like, what, 100, 200 different companies all fighting for that same spot. And then at the end of the battle, there was only like 3 or 4 left. So is that what's going to play out with these cannabis companies? So my mindset coming into this is going to be maybe just chill back, wait a year or two, see what companies just hit it out the park, become the most dominant in like Florida, in Canada, in whatever, in Nevada. Like what company is becoming the most dominant and has that huge foundation? So after we can find the win, we just want to sit back and pick the winners. Make it so much easier for us because we don't want to buy companies that are just using debt to buy more and more cannabis products, and then in the future they have all this debt and then they just shut down, they enter in bankruptcy. So we don't want that. We probably just want to wait back, sit back, see which companies are the winners, man. Because the competition in this cannabis space is very heavy. If you're not on your game, you can't distinguish your product and you don't have the right cost structure, you're going to be roadkill. a longtime cannabis analyst said, the independent consultant for the industry. And that's so true, because you see a lot of these companies just combining their structures together because they have to do a lot of cost savings, because people are understanding and trying to expand very fiercely in this whole area. And you can just see that with Trulieve combining with Harvest. So that's a huge play. But what happens if that play doesn't work out? Who knows, man? Because they have a lot of cost-cutting strategies ahead of them. But we don't know. All these acquisitions can be a bad thing in the future. What if it doesn't go right? Or they don't transition properly? So there's still a lot of things to watch out for on all these cannabis space. Major cannabis producers have been retrenching workers for almost 18 months now. Aurora laid off well over a third of its staff, or almost 1,000 employees, in 2020. Tilray embarked on job-cutting measures last year, laying off more than 15% of its workforce before the merger with Alphria. Canopy Growth Corp also went through 2 major layoff rounds over the course of 2020-2021, while shutting down 5 production facilities. This is so interesting. Is this going to be a trend for all the other cannabis companies? Because there's going to be a point in time where I feel like the competition is going to get so fierce that they're going to have to start actually focusing on profits more than just acquiring businesses, and actually growing its free cash flow, becoming more profitable. But that might be not on the top of the minds of a lot of cannabis companies right now. They're just focusing on growth, which is understandable because cannabis companies are still in the first innings of their growth potential. So I understand that, but there has to be a point where these companies are just going to be focused more on the profit. And that's what these companies are seeing, and they just don't want to get into too much debt, which can have a huge effect on these companies. So is this just a Aurora situation, or this can go on to other cannabis companies in the future? Who knows? Aurora's situation is particularly dire. Unlike competitors of its size such as Canopy Growth and Cronos, it has not received hefty investments from large alcohol or tobacco companies to sustain strong cash position in the face of declining revenues. And we have to realize that if you're gonna invest in one of these companies, you have to make sure they have a strong cash position with debt not being too high, because that's gonna drive what can this company do in the future. And if it's able to continue its growth in the future, you have to make sure you have those 2 things on lock, because these companies that are just growing really fast, they might just end up looking back and saying, whoa, we have way too much debt, and then it's kind of be too late, and they might have to go back into bankruptcy, or they have to do some dire cost-cutting strategies like these companies are doing, because you just never know when that switch can turn on and the revenue growth can't be the same, or it can't produce as much cash just to sustain the growth of the companies. Here's a few weed companies that I'm just looking at and just trying to understand, man. But is there opportunity here? Because look, all these stocks have been crashing basically since February 2021. Look at the high, $10, $10.37. Since then, a 45 decrease. That's crazy. So Planet 13, Trulieve, every stock, these had huge runs, $60, although 42% decline. Canopy Growth, look at the high. All these stocks just rode the high. Look at that, 62%, 72% decrease, man. Holy. So look at this. Is this an opportunity to buy? Should we just go and relax on the sidelines to find out what's the winner, or should we just go head first into these companies, man? I want to hear your opinion. What do you think about all these weed companies? Is there a potential here? Is there future growth? Should we just wait on the sidelines? What should we do, man? Man, please like and subscribe to this video. I'm going to be providing you a lot more content. That's it for today. Peace!